Are you winning? Do you need help in your life or business? Could you use some inspiration, business strategies, and success principles? I'm Daniel Gomez, award-winning business coach, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you create a successful life and elevate your business. Together, we will discover the keys that unlock your success and dreams. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate you, we inspire you. And today, man, we have a special treat for you. We got the one and only, all the way from Chicago, Illinois, Martha Razo. Martha, how you doing?
I am doing great. Happy Tuesday to everybody.
Woo! I tell you what, Martha, I've been looking forward to our episode here. I had the pleasure of meeting Martha at an amazing event in Maryland. And I tell you, I think I bring a lot of energy, but when there was an amazing, powerful female ahead of me speaking, and I'm like, who is this girl? Who is this woman shaking up the stage? Martha, you're just full of fire, full of energy. You have a lot of business wisdom. I know the beautiful person you are. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Martha. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I am passionate about love, about business. I love too, okay? That was not an accident. I'm passionate about numbers. I'm a mathematician. That is what I studied in college. My number one business is pallets. I'm the CEO of Guero's Pallets. I've been doing this for now 11 years. And those are the wood pallets that you see in Sam's Club and that you use with the forklift to move products around.
Wow, pallets, right? So you became a millionaire with pallets. I love that.
Yeah, interesting niche, right? Because I'm in the pallet world, but I'm also in the author world. Like, that's why I call it serial entrepreneur, because one face or the other in business, I've touched it or I've experienced it.
Well, something that impressed me when we were there in Maryland and you were speaking, like business, and I was like, like she knows what she's talking about. Because sometimes I go to these events and I'll share the stage with certain people, and they're like, they don't know what they're talking about, right? They wanna they want to believe they know what they're talking about, but a lot of people, it amazes me how many entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, whatever preneur you want to put before it, they don't know business. Like, they still think like an employee. Why do you think so many people come into the business sector or want to be an influencer, right? Even to be an influencer, you have to run a business. So many people fail. Why do you think so many people struggle with really developing that business mindset, Martha?
I've done a lot of research in this, and one of the biggest reasons is cash flow, not being able to manage your money. Because at the end of the day, if we narrowed it down to the essence of business, it's about making profits. There is people that make profits in the thing they love, right? So it doesn't become about making profits. But in order to sustain a business, you need to have those numbers in green. And a lot of people do not have those numbers in green. They're just running on red numbers. And what happens there is, and it's so interesting, is that they're giving all these other people advice and they're asking for loans or they're barely surviving. Until you actually achieve cash flow success, when you're not asking for loans or living by, then you can actually scale, because now you have your own profits to grow. Do you get me? You can set money aside to make these visions and dreams a reality.
No, so this is, I love the way, look, I love the way this, I would love where this conversation is going. I love what you said, because we all know what happened in 2020 and 2021 is COVID came in, many businesses didn't survive it. Even at the event we were at, it's like, it appalls me how many people, they're like, well, money's not important. Oh, well, it's about helping people. I get it, but you tell me a restaurant owner that wants to help people that can give food away. It doesn't happen that way. They want, yes, they want to help their customers. Yes, they want to serve their customers. I think the word serve sometimes is overused. Serve does not mean free. And I think sometimes in the circles that we're in, or just people that are coming into business, they want to serve, they want to give everything away from free. What's your perspective on that? Because I love what we're talking about right now.
I do believe you should give some things for free, especially as a business owner. At the beginning, you have to give samples. Do you get me? You need to have social proof of what you're doing. That is for sure. Like, but when you're talking about serving, the idea of serving, you cannot serve others if you have not served yourself and your family. That's where everyone should focus on before they even open up a business is your home taken care of? Is your relationships with your family taken care of? Is your relationship, are you being taken care of yourself? Because this is what happens. If you're not taking care of yourself, so yes, finances are important, but if I were to put like the business pillars in order, wellness is number one. So this is having clear direction of who you are, what you want, and being able to be yourself and also pass those beliefs into your family. Because this is what happens. If you don't have a good relationship with your family, how in the world are you going to have a good relationship with clients? Because it's
Mm.
easier to be with your family members and say, oh, and forgive them and have a conversation and break it down and really come to a solution. And this is your family. There's a feelings and emotions and there's a connection. Now imagine going to the business world and you have nothing to do with these people. They're not related to you and you have a conflict. You're not going to have a good result because basically when you go into relationships, it's about listening and hearing and then meeting somewhere in the middle. Not everyone is satisfied in business. That's what you got to realize. But if you can't do this at home with people that you care about, imagine people that are like 3 degrees or 4 degrees away from you. So that is very important to be able to take care of you and take care of home and having these relationships, because the skills that you have and the habits that you have within your own and your family, they're going to be seen in your business. Have you seen like those people that just say, oh, ask this client and I'm just going to not work with them? That's not how it works. You have to be humble.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show where we say, get out your pen, get out your paper, because you definitely want to take some more notes. Because I'm telling you, Martha's going to drop some massive, massive wisdom. And like we say here in the Daniel Goleman Inspire Show, what you write down, you retain over 50% of the time in your subconscious mind. And this show isn't just to come and inspire you and just to give you a feel good. No, we really want to help you with this episode. So take notes, go back and listen to this amazing episode with Martha again, and even share it with a friend. Martha, you said so much there, right? I love it. Man, boom, baby. That's all I can say, right? So let me ask you this. I love what you said about wellness and relationships in your own home and relationships in your own family. I did a post the other day on social media that says, right, so many people want to tell you how to run your business and live your life, but they can't even run their own life and run their own business. What are the two things that you see most small businesses struggle with when just in areas of whether you coach them or you give them advice? What are two areas that you see that's common amongst just people out there trying to do business as an entrepreneur in a small business?
There's two. One of them I already mentioned is cash flow. Like for some reason, we're not educated in school about the finances, and it's something that we know that is bad, but business owners don't sit down to look at their numbers and really see where there's leakage of money and where their money is being put into. So they just don't, they just ignore it. They're like, oh, I don't care about numbers. They just make that as an excuse. They ignore it until it becomes a big problem, like with the pandemic. Their business is closed because they're shut down. They don't have enough in the bank to keep them alive for X number of months or years. The second one is the employee mindset. You don't think about scaling. You're just working inside of your business. So you're working day by day. So you're a slave to yourself if you think about it. So
Whoa.
that's what happens. You are working 14, 15 hours, whatever that is, but you're working in the things that you shouldn't. And this is something I learned. Like it hit me this year that I'm a CEO. I'm not doing CEO tasks. I'm doing tasks that I can delegate to someone else. So what happens is you have this employee mindset, and because it's your business, you are a little bit of a control person. You think that you have the answers and that you can't teach someone else. So that limits you. But now when you realize that it only costs you like $15 to $20 an hour, when you probably your hour is like $500, then you're able to realize that you can delegate these tasks. It's worth the sacrifice of a few hours or a few weeks to teach somebody. So now you can focus on working on your business. So looking at your business like an eagle, you give me the eagles trying to catch the little mouse. That's how you want to see your business, like an eagle's eyes.
So let me ask you this: what's give us an example of a maybe something you had to delegate to somebody else that you were like, right? I like the word that you use because I think sometimes a mistake, the belief systems, I had to get over that belief system that I'm about to say myself, right? I don't know, is if I can't do it, nobody does it right. And
Yes, that was me. I was victim of it. I really this year. How am I going to scale if I am doing small tasks and these tasks take time?
what's a task you had to let go of?
So there's 3 tasks.
Tell us. I
And
love
there's
loving this.
you're dissecting everything that I was doing wrong, I guess. So one of them was reconciling the books, because on the other hand, most business owners don't want to see their numbers. I'm like a control freak when it comes to numbers. I like to know it all. So I would like to be the one reconciling and make sure that every transaction match. So what I would do is I would take the bank statement, I would check every check to make sure that nobody wrote an extra zero on the checks, so no one cashed out more money. And I will also do one-by-one transaction and making sure that the invoices and receipts match. That will take a daunting 5 hours. When that's someone that I can delegate to something, this is something I can delegate to someone else.
You know,
So that was one of them.
you know
The
what, God,
second,
I got to say this because God's speaking through you right now because I do the same thing, right? So ladies and gentlemen, think about what me and Martha are talking about before we go deeper on this, is that what task right now do you have to outsource? What task do you have to delegate to somebody else? You're never going to grow and scale, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't outsource, if you don't delegate those. Like Martha gave a great example. If you're paying yourself, we'll just say your hourly rate, even maybe you're saying, Martha, that's, I wish I was at $500 an hour, but I'm not. Okay, maybe you're at $100 an hour. It doesn't. Okay, we'll just say you're at $100 an hour for a point of reference. You still want to delegate, Martha? Wouldn't you say those $15 and $20 an hour tasks, because your $100 an hour revenue that you're going to generate, that they're going to pay you, is going to cover that and even more. So stop thinking small minded. Stop thinking like an employee. And the second thing is this, right? After you delegate those activities that you are, it's above, right? It's below, not below your pay grade in a bad way, but that you can outsource. Okay, well, you know what? You just said that. I do that at the end of last day of every month. Guess what I'm doing? But the thing is this, you know what shocked me though, is because most small businesses, they don't know what account receivables are. They don't know what account payables are. So they don't know what the money coming in and they don't know the money coming out. And maybe that's why we got along so good in Maryland, is because we think alike to say. But I do the same thing. Okay, great. This is what we had going out. This is what we had coming in. This is our gross margin. And then what I do is I compare it to last year. Okay, how much did we grow percentage wise from last year? But it's good to know this, but you think it could be an overkill then maybe a little bit, huh?
yes, someone else can do it for you and identify when there's not a matching in the transactions. I wanted to mention something on what you were saying. If it comes, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Write this down. What do I need to delegate? And I guarantee you there's more than one activity you need to delegate within your office and your business, because if you're serious about growing and scaling for the remainder of 2024, you have to start delegating. And I think that what Martha said was huge, because this is what I struggled with also, is what do you need to let go of control of, right? What do you need to let go of? You're trying to control everything in your business, and it's never going to grow, because the lie that I believed, and I think Martha said she believed this too, is that no one else can do it as good as you can. Maybe they can, but what about this? What if they can do it 80% as good as you are? It frees you up to grow and to use your professionalism, your wisdom, your knowledge in another area of your business. Why do you think so many people struggle with letting go of control, Martha?
You know, I'm thinking about it in myself, and maybe it relates to other people. But one of the reasons why I thought I'm the only one that can do it is because I couldn't write the processes down of what I was doing. I couldn't explain it. It's like when you tie your shoelaces. Let's just go to that example. It's so hard to explain to a child how to tie your shoelaces because you just know how to do it. But then you have to come up with this like rhyme song, your one little ear here, one little ear there. Really, but you realize that there are steps. But when you are such an expert at what you do, you're so used to it, you forget the steps that you learned to get there. But if you can pour everything you're doing and basically walk backwards of what you did, write every step down, and give that document to someone else and modify it, because this is what me and Ron are doing. He's doing it already because he's a person that takes a task and goes for it. But he's writing, for example, all the tasks to onboarding people to Chatabytes. I'm going to be doing the same thing for how to reconcile the books. When you say reconcile the books, what does that mean? So you'll write each step. The first thing is to open the checkbook. Do you get me? That's the first thing. Then you log into QuickBooks. And what do you need to log into QuickBooks? You need the password and the username. But you forget to give that information when you're so used to doing it. And then there's a system that you follow. So you want to write all of these steps. So as you're training somebody, work side by side and modify that document. And now you have a bleeding document that if that person leaves, you can give it to someone else that can read it and basically follow step by step. So now that tying the shoelace activity has become so easy to follow.
I love that. I love that. I wanna take a step back though, because everybody's hearing you talk about business, and you're amazingly, like, you're a genius for being such a young, powerful woman at your age and knowing business. But you haven't always been like this. I think what really caught my attention was this part of your story when you were speaking on stage, how your dad was kind of the gentleman that wasn't caring about numbers. And you were a college graduate, you were on fire, you wanted to contribute. And your dad, right? People see you now as a CEO, se creen, oh, pues se cree mucho that she's the CEO y está ganando mucho dinero. But you didn't start off as a CEO of what you're doing in the pallet business. Like, share a little bit about that backstory of when your dad, I don't think I think, if mistake, correct me if I'm mistaken, but he didn't even want to give you a position. So he put you loading pallets or some entry level position. Like, take us back and kind of tell us a little bit about your backstory of when you graduated from college. You wanted to kind of do something and you ended up working at, talk to us about that if you don't mind. Please share with us that story.
So actually, I was in college, probably sophomore year. And I was not home anymore. So at 18, as soon as I think it was freshman year, I left the home. Because my dad was a traditional Latino who never wanted me to marry, never wanted me to have a boyfriend, super protective. Like if I was a beautiful porcelain doll, I am beautiful, but I'm not a porcelain doll. So I got frustrated, especially I'm such a person that I'm like, I want to do this, I'm going to do it with help or not help. So I left the home when I was 18. So our relationship broke up. Like he was mad. He gave me silent treatment for about 1 year. But I needed to work because I had to pay for my school tuition. I'm undocumented. So even though I was super smart, did really good in school, I was like top of my class, I was still undocumented. So there was no way for me to get a full ride because I didn't have a social security number. So I have about $12,000 that I have to pay every year. I will work to Chipotle. I was terrible at this, okay? I was not a good worker. I'm not gonna tell the story because it's so ridiculous. Just a little snippet. I burned my hands frying those chips that they have. Yes, they're like, oh my gosh, she's a hazard to herself, even to cleaning bathrooms. And I was terrible at it. But because I was so excited, I'm like, okay, what's the next task you're going to give me? Just make sure I don't hurt myself. So I was always happy, always punctual, always showing up. Anyway, I was done with it. I wasn't the best person, I realized. So I ended up going to my father and asking him, can I get a job? He still wasn't talking to me. But when it comes to work, it's very sacred for him. So he will not deny anybody, even his worst enemy, a job. Never. So he lets me work for him and he has me working with the guys. I'm here in El Serrucho. This is the handsaw, cutting wood. I was really good. Like guys tend to cut about 7 bundles. No, 6 bundles. I was cutting about 7 bundles. And that is a lot. So
Of
it
raw
wasn't
wood,
right away.
like you're talking about like a log or something, or
yeah, the deck boards. So the deck boards that go on the pallets. So I was cutting those logs with the handsaw. I was doing that. And there's this one machine that's called the I don't even know what it's called. Pallet hog? No, it's not the pallet hog. Anyway, it's a machine that slices the thicker wood into smaller wood like cheese. And it cuts
yes.
it into little slats of boards. So that was the second one that I used. I was one of the few people that can actually use that machine without breaking it, because a lot of the guys didn't know how to use it. So I became an expert in that machine. Then he had me forklift driving because he needed someone to cover when it got really busy. At some point, my drivers were giving me a hard time. They were like, I'm not going to take this trip. So I'm like, give me the keys to the truck, go home. So then I learned how to drive trucks and deliver pallets, because they were trying to be like, oh, you're not going to be the boss of me. I'm like, I'm not, but I'm going to do the work that needs to get done. And after that, I really got their respect. Like, this girl is something else. Anyway, fast forward, I'm doing this for like about 6 to 8 months. And I'm doing a master's at IIT studying math. So I go to my father and I ask him, is there something else I can do, like learn about the business? How can I help you in the office? I want to be more resourceful to you. I mean, I love working here. I was really fit. I was super strong. I was still small, okay? I didn't get muscular, but I was just very strong. It was good. Like, people didn't mess with me. So I
I wouldn't mess with you now, so I believe you. Chiquita pero
I don't
picosa.
know about that strong. Chiquita pero picosa, everybody. That's a good one for me. I'm either called Firework or that's a good one. Firecracker. That was my nickname when I was young, Firecracker. So then I'm in the office and I'm like, oh my God, there's a shoebox method that he was using for organizing his documents. That was easy, just putting them together, separating expenses, separating the invoices. But then I actually get access to his bank account 2 months after he lets me like figure out the paperwork. I learn how to use QuickBooks, and then I dive into his bank account and it's negative. And I'm like, I actually approached him because he was making somebody a check. And after the person left, I'm like, Dad, do you know that your bank account is negative like 3,000? And he was a little bit embarrassed, okay? I mean, it makes sense. You are the head of the house, you are the head of this business. So it was a vulnerable place that he found himself in when I confronted him and told him, Dad, we're in negatives. And I admire that he said, Martha, that's why I have you now. It's up to you. Figure it out. So he told me, get us out of the red. And no, I don't have a background in business. So I basically had to, what is it called? I had to figure it out. That was it. So I did.
Are you an aspiring speaker? Do you have a book that you've been wanting to write for months, maybe even years? Or are you an aspiring podcaster? You want to start that podcast like the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and don't know where to start? Well, at Daniel Gomez Enterprises, we can help you do all three. We can help you become that paid speaker, share your story to the world, write your book, and get your podcast launched and help you produce it. We'd love to help you. Give us a call at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954. We can help you become that paid speaker, write that book, and launch your podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call now. Okay, he's writing a check. He's in the negative, in the red. He's not aware of this. If he was there at that moment, he was probably there before. So someone who's new to business, like, what happens if you write a check and you're in the red? Does a bank usually cover that because you do business with them, or did he have bounced checks at that time, or what was going on?
It was negative $30 every time you make a check or a transaction bounces. Right now it's about 35, but back then it was about 30.
And they just covered the check for you, or they charge you the amount of the check plus the 35?
No, the person will come back and say, hey, my check bounced. So it was embarrassing because people will come back and tell us that, oh, there was no funds.
Oh, okay. I got you. So yeah, so you're learning customer service as you're going along the way too.
Oh, wasn't me at the moment, but yeah. Yes, I'm learning how to deal with sticky situations.
Yeah.
And this is what I learned. You never blame anybody. I could have easily been like, oh, so I didn't know my father did this. You always take the blame, or you get me? Not always take the blame, but you don't blame someone else, because that looks really bad on your behalf, that you're not representing your company and you're not faithful to your company. So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. How can I make the situation better? So I learned to deal with sticky situations.
I love the way you said that. keep going. Tell us your story. So then he's 3,000 in the red. And then what do you like? Where does the business wisdom, the genius in Martha come out?
YouTube helps a lot, but I found out of groups of businesses that you kind of crash course on business. So this group called Women's Business Development Center, I went to them. I took all their cohorts. They had 3 different cohorts. So I took them up, scale up higher, and this government contracting course. I was really diving and asking questions and taking notes. So the business cohorts are very, very helpful. In one of my presentations, this was in 2019. So this is like at the end of the cohort. And I'm like, I'm going to grow our business to 10 million. I'm going to get Amazon and Coca-Cola as one of our clients. Like I had a slide with all the goals that I wanted to achieve. And this is interesting. When you're thinking about your goals, you're excited, but at the same time, there's a side of you that's like, I don't really think this is going to happen. But you just say it, and this is the great thing about saying it publicly, then now people heard you, so you have to do it. If not, it's like you're kept held accountable for what you said or you put out in the universe. So I know I said that I wanted 10 million, our business to be 10 million. So I start creating the plan and I dive into all the numbers and work backwards. I'm like, divide, subtract, multiply. How am I even going to get there? And then I said, I want us to increase our profit margins to 20% because our profit margins were 5%. And this is for business owners. This is a lesson. Take notes on this one. It does not matter how much money you bring in. It's your profits. That is really what matters. You can be a $1 million company bringing only $1,000, or you can be a $10,000 company bringing $9,000. Like that is a huge difference. Okay. It doesn't
Yes.
matter how much you bring in sales. It's how much you can bring in profits. So those were my main 2 goals. The profits.
I love that you said that, right? Because I think this, right? They say revenue is for vanity and profits is for sanity. Right? Because we hear it, I'm gonna say it again, ladies and gentlemen, write this down. Revenue is for vanity and profits is for sanity. So many people come and say, I'm a 6-figure business, I'm a 7-figure business, I'm an 8-figure business. And we know a lot of these people. Guess what, Martha? But even though it sounds impressive, wow, you're making 7 figures, you're making 8 figures, but guess what? They're in the red. And it doesn't matter. I'd rather make 6 figures and be in the black, have a higher profit margin. But people don't understand that sometimes. I think they get taken in by, oh man, X and X, they're making 7 figures, 8 figures, but yeah, but they're broke.
Yeah, these are the people that have the nice cars, the nice homes.
Well, I think one thing that people need to think about is this, is that there comes a point where you really got to challenge yourself to grow your business. But something that I realized is I met a friend of mine that it really affected me when I was younger. And he called it right. When I heard the terminology, I had never heard it before. They were like, yeah, he seems like he's doing well, but he's house poor. That he's what? I go, yeah, he's house poor. He has a badass house, but he's paying at the time, I think it was like $5,000 a month. And this was like, man, probably like in 2008. And I was like, house poor. I was like, so that stuck with me, right? And ever since then, I've always lived below my means. But I think we see a lot of these people that are around us in business and they talk about big numbers, right? Big revenue numbers. But the truth is, if there's no profit margin in that, Martha, talk to us about that. Why is it important to have profit margin?
You know what I just realized? I didn't know this, but I was doing some research on Tesla. They're losing money. Did
Yeah,
you know that? I didn't know that.
yeah. They just
Okay, I did.
a new plant in Austin, like about an hour and a half from me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Oh, so on profit. Everyone should have a profit and loss. This is actually a class that I'm going to teach, a workshop that I'm going to teach on Friday on how to increase your profits. And I'm going to use the profit and loss as a tool. And that basically summarizes where you're spending your money and where your money's coming from. And it gives you the profit at the end of the statement. Everyone should be having this. And I know you said you were comparing back to the year before. You don't want to compare back. Yes, you want to compare to the year before, but you want to be consistent in checking the month before that there is growth. Do you get me? that you are spending less and the areas you're spending the most. So this is what I tended to do when I was in that growth phase. And this is great because it gets us to the tangent of how I was able to grow the business. So I took a profit and loss, and I took the last 3 to 6 profit and loss when that point in time that I decided that I want to grow the business. And I identified 3 of the parts that we were spending the most. So trucking was one of the ones, like our trucks, mechanics. That was one of the areas we're spending a lot. Diesel was another one. Another one was cost of labor, so employees. So then what I did, I started collecting data the next month on these 3 areas. So how many workers do I really need to make X number of production, X number of pallets? So to make 10,000 pallets, I need this number of workers. And after that, I'm basically just giving away my money. So for me, the cutoff was 14 workers. After 14 workers, from 14 to 19, I was kind of giving my money away. So good number was 14. After that, 20 and up was making me a difference in production. Those were production numbers that I was recording. I was recording the receipts for the diesel. Okay, this is the number of gallons and this is how much I was spending. And then on the mechanics, I was writing them down. And you know what I realized? This is so bad. If you start looking at your numbers, you realize that there is something bad going on. And that's where you're spending a lot. One of my mechanics did something so ridiculous. He took an engine, just painted the engine, and the engine wasn't really fixed. So he was doing little things like that where he was buying parts and not really fixing the trucks. So why were the trucks constantly being having to be repaired? Was because they were not being repaired in the first place. So
What?
then what
Hold
I
up. Say that
decided,
again. He was buying paint and just painting the parts.
yes. So we thought they were fixed, and then the driver will call like maybe in less than a week and be like, "Hey, this is broken again." Or it wasn't even, sometimes it wasn't like the day after. I'm like, "Hey, you didn't fix this?" Anyway, so we didn't want to deal with that headache. So we didn't even know this was going on unless you don't dive into the numbers and see where your money is leaking. And then where it's leaking is the first question. Where are you spending the most, and why are you spending so much? Is there another venue that you can be spending? So what I did for the trucks, I just got in a lease with Ryder. So this is a trucking company, so I lease trucks. And that was good because the charge was consistent. Every month it was a consistent expense. So you want to have consistency on your expenses. You don't want surprises like your property taxes. Those are surprises nowadays.
Yes.
But there's so much you can do for those. But I will say petition. You don't lose anything from petitioning. So that was that one expense. On the production, I told you I realized that from 14 to 19 employees, it was just a waste. 20 was the next big number. And then what was the other one? The diesel. We decided to get with a gas station to do a program where the drivers are just putting diesel, because this is something that was happening. The drivers were not actually putting the diesel on the trucks. They were just kind of like giving it on the, they were saying, make me a receipt. I was paying the driver, and the driver wasn't really putting the diesel on the truck.
Or they
But
put
then
in.
I partnered with a gas station that I was comfortable with. They had cameras. If there was ever a question, I can always look at their cameras.
So they were taking the diesel receipts and putting diesel or gas in their own cars. Is that what they were doing?
No, they were just probably giving the money to the person. And the person in the gas station, like, hey, let me give you $50. Just say that it was 200, make a receipt. So this is sad, but
Mm.
there's a lot of things that are happening behind your business that you're probably not aware of. But if you dive into the numbers, then you will see that there's a red flag. I really call myself a detective because I use the numbers to detect if there's something bad. So now they know how much I record my data, so none of my drivers will do something like that ever again.
I love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, think about this with what Martha's saying. Write this down. The numbers don't lie.
They don't.
The numbers don't lie. Maybe you're thinking, well, I'm not a numbers guy, like Martha was saying, right? So and so wasn't a numbers person, but Martha, being a mathematician, she was able to take her father's business from being in the red to being in the black to producing millions in profits because the numbers don't lie. Where in your life, where in your personal bank account, maybe you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you're floating from paycheck to paycheck because maybe you're spending more than what you need to, and you're in the red in your own personal bank account. Well, if you're a business owner, guess what? That's going to leak into that also. So look at where you're spending money that you don't need to be spending. Like I said before, what's helped me be where I'm at today is I've always lived below my means. Are you spending money maybe where you don't need to be spending money? Think about that, right? Because think about, I mean, I looked at a report of what my wife bought from stuff for me, and I'm like, do we really need that? Like, I didn't realize it was. She goes, well, this is you. This is what you wanted. I'm like, well, why are we spending so much on Amazon on our business account? She goes, Daniel, half of these things are yours. And I'm like, wow, right? But you don't realize it because you spend $20 here, $50 here, $20 here. Well, those $20 here, they add up to thousands sometimes, and you don't realize it because to you it's just $20. So investigate your numbers because the numbers don't lie. Martha, let me ask you this. What is the best business advice you've ever received?
Oh, this is one from my father just recently. Coaching lesson from him. It was a good one. Um, Treat your clients like it doesn't matter if they're small or big, but treat them the same. And if you think about it, your client is the one bringing food to your table. So treat them with the highest respect. Like if when you get a client, just don't think that you have a client. How are you going to keep that relationship? Is it monthly going to visit them and checking with them? Is it quarterly? But do not just have a client think that's a win. You want to keep that relationship. You want to foster it. So maybe it can be like giving them a Christmas gift every month, every year. But you need to keep that relationship alive, just not be transactional. That was his main message. Don't be transactional. Keep those relationships, foster those relationships, because these clients are the ones that putting food in your table if you think about it.
Wow. That's pretty deep right there.
Because
So,
sometimes we get over our heads. When we get big, we're like, oh, this is fine. We'll get another one. We'll get another client. He's like, no, every client counts, whether it's small or big. Like you have to be the same with everybody. And he used to use that same description also with like homeless people and like waitress and waiters. He's like, you gotta treat people the same way, even if it's the president, the king, versus someone who's homeless, because life is circular. You never know when you're gonna need from somebody.
say that again. You never know when you're going to need from somebody. Man, look, I'm loving this episode, Martha. Thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah, my dad has a lot of wisdom. He taught me a lot of wisdom. I think everything that has to do with my character, I give I give great I'm so grateful for what he taught me.
Yes. As we're coming to the end of this episode, you've poured so much wisdom and knowledge into us. What is a scripture or quote that you rely on times of adversity, Martha?
Oh my goodness. You didn't tell me I was gonna quote scripture. I don't have any scripture in my mind.
Well, how about a quote? It could be a quote or a scripture. It doesn't have to be a scripture.
Um, this is a quote that I always say. But I believe in God and I love God, okay? Um, I love saying the one that you're limitless. I think when we realize how limitless we are, we realize how capable we are of anything, any dream, any idea that we have, we just have to go for it. Most likely we don't fail because if you do enough tasks, you're not going to fail, but you just have to be consistent in what you're doing. So I always say you're limitless. That's actually my slogan for the Xcelerator Business Summit, which you're going to be speaking at.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, tell us about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see that beautiful backdrop there that said Accelerated Business Summit, October, the first weekend of October. You got to be in Chicago, Illinois. What's going to happen in Chicago, Illinois, the first weekend of October? Martha, talk to us about that.
So believe it or not, I'm also an event planner. I only organize one large event a year, one large one. And why do I do that? Because I put all my resources and all my connections in one room and I bring them to Chicago. So this is going to be October 3 and 4 in Naperville, Illinois. The agenda is actually out and ready. We'll be releasing it in 2 weeks, but it's a one-stop shop for business owners. I call it the business buffet. There is someone or something for you to grow your business. You want to grow your business, this is where you want to be at. We're going to have over 30 different keynote speakers. Daniel Gomez is going to be the MC for the first day. So that's exciting. You know, Daniel has so much energy, so he's going to rile up the audience. They're going to be super excited. So I'm really thrilled for that. So you're going to have a large expo at the beginning of both days, different business workshops that you can attend to, a lot of networking sessions. One of those networking sessions is going to be with the speakers. So you're going to be able to meet Daniel at the event in person, because there's going to be networking. And then there's going to be gala, and there's going to be a series of keynote speakers. And what are they talking about? The 5 pillars of business success: marketing, sales, operations, finance, and wellness.
I love it. I love it. Martha, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, how do they connect with you?
They can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn as Martha Razo. They can also text my number. You can text the word hello to 630-937-9581. For those that were sleeping, I'm going to say it again. Text hello to 630-937-9581. Text me. I'm really easy to get a hold of.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing episode. Martha, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to see you at the Business Xcelerator Summit in Chicago, Illinois, October 3rd and 4th. I'm going to be there. Martha's going to be there. You definitely want to be there. If you're a small business entrepreneur, you don't want to miss it. Connect with Martha. Text her the word hello and she'll connect with you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for this week's episode. We'll see you next week with another amazing guest. And remember, if you're stuck in life, if you're stuck in business, reach out to us. Go to danielgomezglobal.com and fill out our business assessment there. We want to help you get your business to the next level. And better yet, we want to see you in San Antonio, September 13th to 14th. The world needs to hear your story. Our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. We have helped hundreds of speakers build their speaking business. As a matter of fact, one of our amazing speakers, Michelle Hoskins, just hit over $500,000 in speaking fees, and just she's crushing it all over the country. We want you to be our next success story. So reach out to us at 210-663-5954, because we want to see you at the Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, September 13th and 14th here in San Antonio, Texas. Until next week with another amazing guest like Martha Razos. Thank you once again, Martha. We'll see you next week here on the Daniel Gomez Inspires Show. Woo! This is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and thank you for listening to our show today. Please share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe to our show. And for listening to our show today, I want to give you a free gift. I want to invite you to our Millionaire Mind community. Text the word millionaire, that's millionaire, to 210-942-5059. Yes, join our community today and receive millionaire affirmations, inspirational quotes on a weekly basis. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire today and join our community. And once again, thank you for listening to our show.